Hello beautiful people, welcome or welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial, I want to go over how to create a custom single product page for your WooCommerce website using the JetWooBuilder. Now this is the default WooCommerce single product page where it comes with their colors and it doesn't really look that amazing. It's pretty boring and it's really bland. I'm going to show you how to create or go from this simple boring single product page to something like this, which is a little bit more modern, is on brand, is very sleek, clean, and honestly, it just looks a lot more better. Now, there's much more you can do with a single product page. I wanted to keep it really brief in this tutorial, just so you can know the basics of how to get funky and get used to using the JetWooBuilder to become very creative when it comes to your e-commerce websites inside of WordPress. So without further ado, let's hop right into this tutorial and get started. So once you're on the WordPress dashboard, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you do already have CocoaBlock installed and activated on your WordPress website. Once you have it installed, you will see that you have this tab here that says Update and Installation. Then it will bring you to this page where you are able to see all of the different Jet plugins that come with your license. Now, I see all of them, so if you guys want the license that I do have a link down in the description box below, and you can go ahead and try out CocoaBlock for yourself and follow along with this tutorial. Now, like I said, you're going to see all of the different Jet plugins right here. And the beauty of it is you don't have to install everything. You only install the ones that you need. Now, with my license, I have stuff like Jet Appointments and Jet Bookings, but I will not be installing these as I do e-commerce websites. So what you need to make sure of is that you see the one that says JetWooBuilder. You're going to see it down here. You need to go ahead and click the install button. And once it's installed, it'll pop up here so that you can activate it. And as you see, these are the installed Jet plugins that I'm currently using. But what you're gonna need is JetWooBuilder for this tutorial, so be sure you already have that installed and activated. Now what we need to do is scroll down, and still underneath the CocoaBlock tab, we're gonna choose the Woo Page Builder, because this is where we're going to create the templates. As you see in previous videos, I showed you guys how to do certain templates. For this video, we're now going to be doing the single product page template. So we're gonna create a new template. This template is going to be for single, so just make sure you keep single toggled, and then we're going to go ahead and give the template a name. So let's do single product page, and then let's put template right behind it. There we go. Now, right underneath there, you do see that you already have some pre-designed templates that you can use for your single product page. Honestly, if you click this, you can just make the modifications the same way that we're going to do now with a fresh scratch sheet of paper. But you could choose these and just make the edits from there. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and create a new template because I want to create a blank canvas. Now that we have Elementor open, we can start building out the template. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and open up a Flexbox container, and I will be using the 2 containers. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this one right here because I need them to be honestly equally in size. We have both of our containers here. Typically for a single product page, your left side container just holds the product images, and then the right side contains all of the information. So let's start off with this left side, and let's go ahead and type in breadcrumbs because I want the breadcrumbs to sit on the single product page right above our images. I highly recommend you guys use this. It's just super helpful, especially if you have a large store. It just comes in handy for the customers browsing your website. The next thing I want to do is scroll down until I see the single images. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop this in. And this is going to be the widget that you will use that will show the image category, or not category, the image gallery for your products. And as you see, all of the other product images are right here. And then our first image is showing right there. And that's pretty much it. It's going to be in the left side. Now I'm going to go over here to the right hand side, or the right container. Now it's time to start putting in that nitty gritty information. So in most cases, we're going to have stuff like categories. We're going to have stuff like the title, the price, and all that good stuff. So let's start with the basics first. Let's go all the way down, and we see all of this stuff right here. So the first thing I'm going to grab is the single title. I'm going to drop it in. I'm going to go back to the plus button. I'm going to choose the single price because of course we're going to need price. And this time I want to do the, where is it? Single excerpt. I'm going to go ahead and give that. I'm going to go back to the widget. I am going to get the single add to carts. drop that right underneath there. And I think that's about it that will go over here. We're gonna hop into ratings in another video, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Oh, let's go ahead and drop in some metadata. Let's go ahead and drop that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the things I'm gonna add, especially for right now. I'm just trying to give you guys, an idea. All of the widgets right here are going to be for the things that you need for the specific template that you're creating. So if you're on a cart page, honestly, all of these widgets will be associated with what you would use for the cart page. And right now, since we're doing a single product template, they're giving us everything that goes for the single product page. As you see, each one of the widgets start off with single, which I think is pretty dope. But this is our template. So if I just close this right now, you will see that we have this, which honestly looks exactly like the one we already have. So we don't want this. It's time to spice this up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the left side over here. I'm going to go to the breadcrumbs and I'm just going to adjust the styling of this. So for the text color, I'm going to go for our primary color. And for the link color, let's just use orange. So basically these are going to be links, of course, because this is the active current page that a person would be on, but they can link back, or not link back, they can go back to wherever they came from, whether they came from the category of anime t-shirts, whether they came from, the overall shop page, home, etc., etc. You guys get the point. And this is a cool way to just edit those up right there. Actually, I'm going to switch it up. I want to make the text color the orange, and then the link colors, I'm going to just keep them at the black one. And I think that that's better. Yeah, because the orange is going to indicate like active or something like that. I like that a lot. And I'm going to go to the advanced because as you see, it's a lot of space right here, which I'm not really a fan of. So I'm just going to give it a negative margin of about -15, which is perfect. So if I just close that out, yep, that is perfect. So the next thing we have is the images here. So I'm gonna make sure I choose the single images widget here. And as you guys see, you have, let me close that, you have the featured images style, and then you also have the thumbnails, because this is our featured image and these down here are considered our thumbnails. So if I just open up the featured image, now I can start doing all of the styling for that particular image. Now there's not too much you can do here. However, you can still make it like your own. So I'm going to give it some border radius of 20 just around the corners like so. And I'm doing that simply because everything else I've done in these tutorials for this demo site has been rounded, and I just want to keep the consistency. I can also add a border if I wanted to. So I could just choose one with pixel border. I can also choose, not that color. Let's just choose the secondary color here, and let's close that, and you will see we have something quite like that. Now, what I will do is go ahead and go down here to where it says margin and give it some bottom margin, because as you notice, let's close that. As you notice, our thumbnails are literally pushed up against that, and we do not want that. They need some breathing room. That just doesn't look good. So what I'm going to do is unlink the margin, and at the bottom, I'm just going to do 20 pixels of margin right there. Now, it's totally up to you how much you want to put there. Numbers don't have to be exact to what I'm currently using. And that's pretty much it that I'm going to do right there. I'm going to go down here to the thumbnails. And what I want to do is do the same thing with the border radius, because I definitely don't want them to, be square while this one is rounded, consistency. And that's pretty much it of what I'm going to do right there. You can adjust the width. Oh, I will add some padding. So on the right of each one, I do want to add like 10 pixels of padding, and that's pretty much all we have. Oh, I forgot, you can do the direction to be vertical or horizontal. So if we just go to the vertical one, you'll see that let's close this, you'll see that it pushes the thumbnails over here to this side, but you can also choose it to be on the right side if you want to. So there's some flexibility of editing options if you want. Of course, you would just have to do some left padding or right padding depending on what side you put it on to move it off of the main thumbnail right there. But I'm going to go ahead and keep mine on horizontal. I'm just keeping this super basic and simple for the purposes of this tutorial. Now, that's pretty much all I have that I'm going to be doing for the left side. I'm perfectly fine with that. And then hopping over into the right side, we can do some changes here, because as you see, the widgets that we dropped in are still taking our theme branding color. So we have that default Elementor theme red, and then the WooCommerce purple, which is not what we want. So the first thing I do want to do is I actually want to move this metadata above the title. Now in the metadata, I do want this to be inline because as a block, it just seems a bit too much. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose inline to make it go right across just like that, which is perfect for me. You can also adjust the space in between if you want to. So I would definitely give it a little bit more space just so I can have some separation between the different things. Because as you see, we have the SKU, then we have the categories, and then we also have the brand. And since all three of these have their own, pieces of data, I do want to put a little bit more space in there. So let's actually do like 10. I think that's perfect. Now, another way we can put some separation is to just go down here to where we have the value. And underneath typography, what we're going to do here is we're going to make the weight of this about medium. Or actually, no, that's not the one I'm looking for. Actually, I'm looking for the main one, which is going to be right here. This one is the one I want to be medium, which is going to be perfect. And again, that gives a little bit more separation. So now what I need to do is for the link, let's go down here. So as you see, anime t-shirts, men t-shirts, and Nike are all links right now because these are the different categories, which I do have pages for those as well as our brands. So you can browse websites through the brand and the category. Here's the reason that they automatically are defaulted to links. So underneath the link is where you'll be able to change the color of those. And I'm going to go for our orange color, similar to what we did right here. Or I could just go with our secondary color. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, let's go with that one. That's actually pretty good too. But of course, you have a few more options if you really want to get, extremely funky with how you actually go about it. Now we have the title, the product title. Now in the style, you don't have too much you can do because it's just the title. So you can only just choose the color of things. So let's choose our primary color. And then of course, underneath the typography, you can always change and adjust the weight. So if you don't want it extremely thick, you can do that. And if you want to slim it down a bit, so let's just go for like 2. I'm pretty sure it was like 2.5 at first. Let's just go for like, let's do 2.2 gram, and that's perfectly fine. Now you do have margin and padding. I tend to skip these when I'm first getting the design ready, because if I change the placement, then I have to come back and change the margin and padding. Once you really got know how you want things placed out, then you can come in and change the margin, because again, as you can see underneath the product title, it does have some space. So if I just unlink it, you will see that space is kind of gone. So of course, just think about the margin and the padding per widget. And really just go based off the design. Wait till you really structure things how you want it, and then you can better determine those. So for now, we're just going to keep that how it is. For the pricing, it's honestly already good. It's already chose a color for it. As you see, you have the pricing style stuff, and then you also have the currency sign. So whatever currency that you're using, you can adjust the sign right here. So if you want that to be orange and your price to be another color, you can do stuff like that. I'm not going to do too much here. To be honest, I'm honestly fine. The only thing I'll do is go to the typography, and then I'm going to go underneath the weight and make this like a medium, and we're good to go. That's perfectly fine with me. So now we're moving on to this widget here, which is the single excerpt. Now, if you guys have watched my previous video where I showed you guys how to create or add a simple product inside of your WordPress using WooCommerce, you would know where this single excerpt is coming from. In the back end of WordPress and WooCommerce, you do set for every product, or if you want to set for every product, a product short description. So this is not the long description that gives more insights about this particular product. This is just a short description that you normally would see on the product pages. Maybe you see it right here at the top of the single product page, and etc. So that's what this one is. If you do not have that, you can honestly skip that if none of your products even have a product short description. But if you do have those, then you might want to add this, and then you can position it to where you want to. I normally have it right underneath the price, which I think is really good to have right before the add to cart, because usually you use your short descriptions as like highlighted piece about the product. That's what you use the short description for. So enough about that. Now what you need to do is, you see you don't have, again, many style options for it, but another way I like to spice it up is just going to the advanced tab. So I'm going to go advanced, and I'm going to go down to the background. I'm going to choose a color. So let's choose our orange, but then let's use a extremely lighter version of our orange. something like this. Or we could go for our green and we can honestly do the same thing right there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep this green just on the strength of, I think I might make the entire page the lighter green. So let's go with orange this time. Again, this is just, to show you guys some, give you guys some ideas as to things you can do. And underneath the advanced still, I'm going to go back up to this layout tab and I'm going to give it some padding all around. Let's go for 20, or we can probably get away with 10. Yeah, we can get away with 10. And then I'm going to do some negative margin of -10 just to bring it up a bit because it was a little bit more spaced out. And so another thing I like to do is go over to the width, and I'm going to give it a custom width, and I'm going to keep it on percentages. If yours is not already on percentages, be sure you change it to percentage. And I'm just going to give it about 55% of width. And I like that a lot. And we're going to keep it at that. Now, if you don't like the alignment or whatever, you can definitely just keep it full width. But at full width, it will take up, the entire space, and it'll be a bit more space here. So that's personally why I always try to adjust it and get to where I think it will be, most likable. So for me, I'm going to go with 55 and just keep it at that. And then I'm going to go back underneath I'm still underneath the advanced tab. I'm going to go to border and I'm going to give it some radius. Let's just do, not 10 this time. I mean, not 20. We're going to do 10, and I'm going to do a solid border. I'm going to also choose our orange, but this time I'll just bring the transparency down just a little. And there we go. There's our short description notification that will sit right there. And then now the next thing we have is the single add to cart. Now this can honestly be, it will look different, is what I'm trying to say. If you don't have size and colors, like you don't have a variable product, then you won't see this. However, if you do, this is good because you can see how you can style this stuff up. So if you don't see this style in the colors or like the variable stuff, that's because you don't have variable products. So it's totally fine. Just continue to design it as you please. So again, we have that display type. You can do block and then you can do inline, and as you see, it only will work up obviously for the button and the quantity picker, because these technically have to sit on top of each other right now, as far as I know, when it comes to the add to cart widget for WooCommerce. We're going to go ahead and keep it on inline. Now you can adjust the width if you want to as well. You can definitely do stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and keep it, let's just go ahead and put it back at 100% for now, but you get the gist. You can definitely edit that up if you wanted to. Now you have the normal state, the hover state, and the disabled. So we're only talking about the buttons. So for the color, you can choose for your text color we're gonna go with white, and then our background color can be our secondary color. On hover, let's just say you wanted it to white text, and then you wanted to switch to the orange color, and as you see, it'll do it right there. And for the disabled, most of the times you're going to go with white text, and the background color will be some sort of gray color. So we're just gonna go for something like that. Then of course you have all of the stuff for the border and the box shadow, margin, and padding. So I'm just gonna go for, like I always do, we're gonna do 20 all around to round it off. And what I am going to do, because as you see, the quantity in the button is super stuck together, and I do not want that. And if you also see that that's pretty much all we have for the button in the style app tile right here. So I'm going to do, is it going to be the margin? Let's see. Okay, it's not going to be the margin. It's going to be the padding actually. So, okay. You know, so actually, go way back. So now we have the cart widget. So as you guys see, you do have the size and the color. So if you do have variable products on your website, or let's just say your last product that you uploaded was a variable product, you will see the variables right here. Don't worry about if you see this or if you don't see this, because the thing is, you won't see it if your products actually are not variable products, but you will see it. And the beauty of that is they will show an editor so that you are able to edit it. So now let's go ahead and start the styling. So as you see underneath the style tab, we go back to content. As you see, there's nothing in the content because it's just straightforward. It's already built in to be Ajax working for you. Now, if I go to the style tab, you will see that we have the button, the quantity, the variables, which is this right here, or the variations. Then you have the prices, because as you click on these variations, you do supposed to see the price pop up. Let's see if you can see it here. Okay, you can't really see it here, but anyways, if you were to choose a variation, the new price pops up here. The stock status, the variation description, and then the variation reset. So you have a lot of different options in terms of your variations. But the first thing we're going to start off with is our button, because that's what we can visibly see right now. For the display type, similar to what we had earlier, you can do block or you can do inline. And as you see, it's only for the buttons. Then you have the width, so you can adjust the width to your liking. I'm going to switch mine to percentage, and I'm going to go for, let's just do 80, or let's do 70 actually. Yeah, 70 is fine for right now. Right underneath that, you do have the typography, so of course you can always adjust the weight of the text in here. So let's just say I wanted it to be normal, I can do that, but in most cases it needs to be either medium or semi-bold. So I'm going to go with semi-bold. Now underneath there, you do have the normal, hover state, and disable state. This is of course still for the button. So let's just say for the normal state, you want the text to be white and the background to be our secondary color. But on hover, you want the text to be white and then the background to be our orange color. There we go. You don't have to worry about disable. It automatically default that to look like a disabled button. But if you want to, of course, and you know how you want your disabled stuff to look like, you can just simply, create that here. So let's just say for disabled buttons or products, we just want it to be like this gray color. Perfect. Then of course you have the border, box shadow, margin, and pattern, which is super, helpful for you. So, in our cases, we're doing 20% of radius. Now I will be using the margin. I'm going to go ahead and unlink that and give it a left margin of 10. Now I just put some space because as you guys notice, let me remove that. You guys notice that they're extremely close, and if yours is extremely close, you're gonna probably want the same thing. You may be like me and be looking for a toggle similar to this where you can, edit the gaps or the space between or something like that. I was looking for that for a good like 3 minutes, and then I realized that I'm not gonna find it in none of these. I thought it was gonna be underneath the quantity, like maybe, I can adjust the sizing or spacing, and I couldn't. So the kicker to being able to do this, go back to the button. And then, like I said, set your width to 70, basically something not 100%, because if it's 100%, you won't be able to put any space because it's already taking up 100% of the widget. So I put my width of this widget to be 70. And then now underneath the margin, I'm just going to give it left margin of 10, or it can be, whatever your heart desires. And now it puts some space right there, which is exactly what we want. Now I'm going to keep mine left aligned, just makes the most sense. But of course, you can choose your alignment here. And then, of course, you have stuff for the quantity, variations, price, etc. So for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to just go through this really fast, doing some simple edits, and then I'll be back. All right, so now that I've already edited this up, this is going to be, the simplicity of the design I'm going to be doing. Again, I'm just showing you guys how you can add your brand colors in certain areas of it so you can make it look like your own. So as you guys see, let's open this back up. What I did was underneath the variations, let's open up the variations first. I first made the width 85 because at first, of course, you guys noticed it was all the way over there. So the next thing I did was remove the margin and patterns to give it some more, or not give it some more space, but to make it more flushed with everything else right here, because before it had some margin and pattern that we couldn't see. So I went on ahead and unlinked that. For the pattern, I did give it some bottom of 20 because I did have or want some more space, because if I just delete that, you will see that they're pretty touchy. So I just put in 20 pixels of padding in between them, which is perfectly fine for me. Of course, for the label size and colors, I made it a little bit more thin. I chose our color, so of course I can choose orange, and you'll see that they do change orange. And then I scroll down, and then you also can, create or edit the select field. So I was able to, give that some background color and just play around with that. Of course, to be sure you are making very good or smart design decisions. Again, I'm just showing you guys what you guys can do. And then I went to the pricing tab, because the prices, you would get confused. You would think that the price is editing this, but no, this is its own widget. Remember, when people are choosing the variations, the new price title will be right here, or price will be right here. So of course you need to adjust those. And sadly, you can't see it. So if I were to choose the green and the extra small, you're not going to be able to see it in the editor, but that's cool. Just, figure out your colors for the most part, and then publish it, and then you'll be able to see what those colors look like on a live site, and you could just come back and change it then. And of course, you have a lot more other stuff with the stock status, the variation description, and the variation reset. For the most part, those just need the brand colors, and you're pretty much good to go. And that's pretty much it with that widget right there. Now, what I do want to do is I want to go to the overall container, because as you see, it's a lot of space in between all of our widgets, and I'm not really too fond of that. So for the main container, I'm going to go right here to where you see gaps, and I'm going to do 15 for now, which brought them in a little bit more closer, which is good. I like that. Now what I'm going to do is go to the individual widgets, and if I can find any spacing options that I can use, I'm going to do that. So I see at the top of the title, I can also give it some negative margin right here as well. So I will of -5, and it kind of brings it in a little bit more. I'm going to go to the price, and I'm going to do the same thing. Instead, I'm going to go to the advanced. I'm going to unlink, and I'm going to go up a little bit. Let's just do about 5 right there as well. And that's pretty much good for me. Now, what I do also want to do is go here, and I'm honestly going to add in a spacer at the very top, just to give it a little bit more space, because right now it was flush to the top, which is not a bad thing. However, I did want this to be a little bit more in alignment with this, and honestly, I want it to be a little bit more in the middle as well. And that's perfect for me. Now, you can do a lot of more adjustments. You can go to the overall container and edit the gap in between both of these containers. You can give this container side a overall color if you want. So let's just say you wanted this side to be all green. You can do it's totally up to you. I'm just going to keep this simple and keep it at this. Also, I did notice that these now are too close together. So let's go to this widget here, go to the advanced. I'm going to underneath the margin, and I'm going to give it 20 margin at the top. Now, the last thing I want to add in this section over here is going to be the content, aka the long description. Now, in some cases, you could put your description down here. So that's an option I'm going to show you guys. But what you want to use for the long description is going to be this single content widget. So I'm just going to drop that right there. And then as you see, it brings in our long description. So if I just close this now, you'll see now we see all of the details for our product. We see our gallery images over here, and then we see the description right there. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Now, like I said, you can have your description here. If you do, I would highly suggest you drop in a heading widget right above there, and then you just type in something like this. Just type in something like product details, go to the style tab, go over to the typography, and just make it pretty small. Go to the advanced, margin, give it about 10 at the top just to give it a little bit more space. And then what we're going to do is go to this one, go to the margin, and honestly just bring it up -5 to bring it a little bit more closer to that. There's a way that you can add it over here. You can get really creative. Like I said, add some dividers if you want to just divide things up a bit more. You can really get creative. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more. Let's go with 20. And I like that a lot better. And that's pretty much it for our single product page right here. But like I said, let's say you wanted to actually have your description down here and you want some other text right there. You can absolutely do that. You can change this to be another widget. Maybe you can drop in something like an icon list. Let's do an icon list right here. Let's say you want to put another container down here, not 2 column. Let's say you want to put another container right here. And maybe you want to drop the product description over here. And then you want to put the product details here. And then you want to go back and let's just say you want this to actually be 2 trim. You can do stuff like that. And of course, you just need to edit this up. So it probably won't be all those different types. It may be a bunch of check marks. You might do them inline and then, you know, style them up to how you like it. So the choice is completely up to you. So if I close this now, you'll see now we have a different style. We have stuff right here. I can do some more details here. And then the description down here. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and go back. Let's go ahead and publish this. And remember, guys, when you're doing these templates, you always make sure you go back to the dashboard. Go to WooCommerce. Go to the WooCommerce settings. Click on the JetWooBuilder. Underneath here, you need to find the single product. We're going to enable this. So we're going to check this tick. And then for the template, we're going to choose the template we just created. I'm going to scroll all the way down and save the changes. Okay, y'all, so here is our single product page. Now that we have the template created and it is linked, now you see here is our product gallery, images over here, and then of course we have our custom breadcrumbs here. Then on the right, we have all of the details associated with this product. Now, right off the bat, one of the things that I do want to show you is that, as you see, this is a variable product. So we do have that size and that colors. But let's just say we were on a product that didn't have variations, like this one. Let's scroll down. You will see that we no longer have the variations right above the add to cart button. And that's because this product is not a variation. If you do not have variable products, again, you didn't have to worry about it. You just see it in the editor mode to be able to edit it. But if you don't have that, then don't worry about it because you won't even see it right here. So this is what it'll look like for a non-variable product. This is what it'll look like for the variable product. So if I were to now choose one of the variables, so I choose the size and then I choose the color of orange, then you see that the price actually appears right here. Move to press clear, then it will go away. So let's go back and choose that once more. Let's choose this. You see the price pops up. Now you see that we do have clear in the default red Hello Elementor colors. Let's change that. So back inside of the editor, I want to choose this one right here, the add to cart button. I'm going to go to the style, and this time what I'm going to do is choose the variation reset. And right now for the color, I'm going to change it, and I'm going to make the color, let's do our secondary green. And then let's go ahead and publish. Now I'm going to refresh the page. And I'm going to re-choose extra small in the size green. Now you see our color is now green, so it's unbranding. So again, like I was saying earlier, just make sure that when it comes to your variations, whatever you can't see inside of the editor, go live and then you can see what all needs to be changed from there. Even with this pricing, I made sure to go ahead and select the pricing color. But if you don't see it, just choose a color, come here to live, check it out, and then you'll be able to see what color you can make. And that's pretty much it. That is exactly how you can create a custom single product page for your products inside of WordPress using the JetWooBuilder. Of course, it has to be connected with WooCommerce. So be sure if you are using WooCommerce that you do install or, get you a license for CrocoBlock. Again, I have it linked down in the description because it will help you make some nice, creative, custom websites in terms of e-commerce. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I'll have more videos to come, and I'll see you guys in the next video.